Hi everybody, Wendy from Cinnamon Sweet Shop. Today I'm going to be making a chocolate babka. Now I don't have a lot of time to be making babkas because it involves yeast and proofing and rising. That's usually an all-day event. So with this recipe, you can make it multiple days. So we're gonna make the dough today, and then tomorrow I'm going to finish up with the rest of the babka. All of these ingredients are listed below in the description box. For this recipe, I will be using the dough hook on my Mixmaster. So what we're going to start with is mostly the dry ingredients. So I have my flour. And to that I'm going to add in the sweetener or the sugar, the yeast, the salt, ground nutmeg, and vanilla extract. Add in the milk and the eggs and beat this until it starts to form a mass. If it starts sticking to the side of the bowl, just add about a tablespoon of flour in at a time, just until it is a nice, soft, round ball. Now I'm going to add in half the butter and beat it for about 3 to 5 minutes. It should be nice and elastic. Beat in the remaining butter and then continue beating that for about 5 to 7 minutes. I love to play around with my dough. So I took it out and put a little bit of flour and just started kneading it just to make sure it was nice and spongy or elasticity. Now, I took a bowl. You could butter around it. I use the vegetable spray. And you're going to take your dough, ball it up, plop it in there, kind of move it around to get the dough nice and buttered as well. And then cover it with a towel, clean towel. Keep it in a warm place for about 1 to 2 hours. It should rise. In a rectangular bowl, I did spray this real well with my cooking oil. You can use butter. And now we're going to take that dough. It did rise quite a bit. Just flatten it out in this bowl. Try to get it on all sides. Doesn't have to be perfect though. All right, now I'm going to cover this with plastic. I guess you could use foil too. Just happen to have plastic available. And I'm going to refrigerate this overnight. So I'll bring this back out tomorrow. Now, if you're in a hurry and you want to make this in one day, just refrigerate it for at least 4 hours. While I'm waiting for the dough to rise, I'm going to prepare the filling. So we are going to use some heavy cream or half and half. I'm using half and half. And then I'm going to add in sugar, and just a pinch of salt. And then we're going to cook this on a medium heat just to make sure the sugar's all dissolved. And it's going to take about 5 minutes. You only want this to come to a simmer, not to a boil. Again, the goal of this is just to have the sugar thoroughly dissolved. Once it's dissolved, just going to pour this into a bowl. And then I'm adding in some bittersweet chocolate chips. You could use chunks, you could use chopped up chocolate, anything you need. Some more butter, or I like to use the vegan butter, but you could use whatever you will like. And then some vanilla extract. And we're going to mix this until it's completely dissolved. Once it's nice and smooth, just place it to the side and let it sit at room temperature. To prepare the streusel, I'm using some flour. Then I'm going to add in the sugar, some more cocoa powder, a little bit of salt. And some melted butter. And we're going to mix that until it's kind of moist but clumping together a bit. Just like that, it should look. I have some semi-sweet chocolate chips, and I'm going to add that in last. And just mix this around until it is well combined. This recipe makes 2 babkas, but I'm going to make one now and then freeze the dough and use it at another time. So to prepare your pan, I have a loaf pan, and I did spray it real well with some cooking oil. You can use butter. Then I cut out some parchment paper just to line the bottom. And then I took some extras, and they're going to be handles that will help me pull the babka out of the pan. So you're just going to wrap it around like that. And then I have another one that I'm going to put down for this side, just holding it down. On a floured surface, I'm going to take half that dough and roll it out to 9 by 17 inches. 17 inches is about from here to here, and then 9 would be about here to here. I am going to measure it when I'm pretty much done, but it'll give me an idea. As your fudge comes to room temperature, you'll notice it thickens to a nice spreadable type of consistency. So we're going to take half of that and put it down on your dough. Now you'll notice my dough is lengthwise facing me, and I'm using a spatula to spread it all out across the dough. You don't need to leave a border. You can take it right straight to the edges of the dough. And with the length size, you're going to lift this up. It's going to be a little messy, but that's just chocolate. And I am going to fold this, or roll this rather, into a very tight coil. Starting around here. Doesn't matter if the filling spills out across the side. It's even better that way. So again, just keep on rolling this, making sure it's nice and tight. Don't want any spaces in between. This is where you're going to take some plastic wrap and get this nice and covered. And just like this, I'm going to put it in the freezer for 10 minutes. All right, so after 10 minutes, it firms it up a little bit, makes it a little easier to work with. Toss this. I am back. Now, we're going to keep this lengthwise, and we're going to slice it in half this way so that you should see the filling inside. Get a nice sharp knife. This is like a serrated knife. Get that nice. Open this up. Now look at that. Doesn't that look really nice? Almost looks like a sandwich. So from here, I'm just going to squeeze this together at the very tip to hold it together. And we're going to twist it around almost like we're braiding it with just 2 strands. So while I'm holding this, I'm going to flip that around like that, and then just flip this around again. Flip this around. And then we have a shape. From here, you're going to take the dough, the two ends, and fold it in half, and then kind of play around with it a bit. So it should be about 9 inches. Now I'm going to take my pan that I covered with parchment and the handles, bring these handles down, and take my babka and place it in the pan. It should fit a little snug, but if it's a little too big, just curl it around. Okay. And I'm going to cover this with a towel and let it sit at room temperature for an hour and a half. After the hour to an hour and a half, your dough should be fluffy, but it shouldn't be, it's not going to rise a lot, but it should be nice and puffy. So I took half of that streusel that we made before, just crumble it up again with my fingers, and we're going to just spread it across the top of the babka. I'm going to press it in a little bit, but not a lot. Bake this in a 350 degree oven for 40 to 50 minutes. Now, how will you know it's done? When you stick a tester in it, like a toothpick, it shouldn't have a lot of resistance, and then it should feel a bit hollow if you knock on it. The last thing we're going to make for this is a simple syrup. So I have some of my sugar in a pot, and I'm going to add water. This is on medium heat, and we're going to mix this, and it's going to take about 2 minutes cooking until the sugar is completely dissolved. So this is piping hot out of the oven, and immediately with the skewer, I'm going to poke some holes just throughout. Just like that, and then take half of that simple syrup and pour it over the cake. And let it cool. Be sure to share this video, thumb it up, and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I will see you all in my next video.